in the section. Shark, I heard. Yeah, the aquatics on the shark.
Gurus is
Shukracharya, yeah. So of these groups of people or populations of or items, he is the supreme of those items, right? So that's the idea here that we can meditate on, is that Krishna is the supreme of everything. And this is just a kind of a sampling. You only get like a little sample of a protein bar or something. Someone's passing out a sample, or my sister and I did that way back when there was a devotee bar factory in Dallas. So I went to help her, and we went to Costco's and we had little samples of the bars, and that way people would feel excited to eat them, to purchase them, right? So in the same way, Krishna's opulences are unlimited, but we get a sampling of what that looks like by seeing how he's the supreme among all these really amazing things, like the mountains, he's the supreme mountain, and so on. So it's a nice way to meditate in our day-to-day life. And I do, after we read through the verses, and we'll kind of stop through them and mention a few things, then I want to ask you all this question to think about. Why is it that in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam there are descriptions like this, where he says, among this group or among this species, I'm such and such. This description of Krishna's opulence. Why do you think? What are some of the benefits of those descriptions being present in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? So that's what we're going to discuss. So let's start with text 9. I'll read. So do you remember yesterday, the last verse was, at that time I enlightened Arjuna, the type among men, with logical arguments. And so he's saying that, you asked a similar question to Arjuna. And he's feeling in that, maybe it was mentioned yesterday, but he's feeling very pleased that both of his friends had posed the same question regarding the opulences of the personality of God. Lord Krishna considered it wonderful that his two dear friends had asked exactly the same question. So Krishna's also a person. He's a supreme person, but he has feelings, and he's like delighted at these questions. The other amazing thing about Krishna is he's not boastful, he's not arrogant, even though he's the supreme everything. It's not that, have you ever met someone who's just ready with their resume to start, giving you their list of things, of their accomplishments, without you even asking? They start saying, do you know I won this prize and I did it, and it's usually coming from a place of ego, not all the time, but mostly in the material world, right? But with Krishna, he's just there discussing with Uddhava, and then he takes this question as an opportunity to then go into this description. But he's not pushing himself and saying, everyone needs to know this about me. He has no need for recognition and validation the way that our egos do. So text 9, I'll read the English and then we'll sing the Sanskrit. My dear Uddhava, I am the super soul of all living entities, and therefore I am naturally their well-wisher and supreme controller. Being the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of all entities, I am not different from them. So this is him beginning his response, right? And he's going to go over several verses. So we'll read the Sanskrit here. Aham atmo Davamisham.
Aham atmo Davamisham.
Udanam Sukishvara. Aham Sarvani Bhutani. Tesham Stityudbhavavyaya. So in Sanskrit, you have the Y end of a word, and just pull it over into the next one. So Stityudbhavavyaya. So anyone would like to chant this verse?
Sarvani Bhut.
Sarvani Bhutani. Desha
Bhutanam Suridishvara Sarvani Bhutani
Ahamatmodamam Sham. Suridishvara. Sarvani Bhutani.
Sarvani Bhutani.
So let's read the word for word together. Aham. Let's go down below. Aham. I am. Atma, the super soul. Deva, Amisham, of these. Bhutana, living entities. Surit, the well-wisher. Ishvara, the supreme controller. Aham, I am. Sarvani Bhutani, all entities. Tesham, of them. Sthiti, the maintenance. Udvara, creation. Apyaya, and annihilation. So quite a simple verse. You could learn this, and the words, we know a lot of these words in Sanskrit anyway, so this is a nice one. Let's read the translation together. My dear Uddhava, I am the super soul of all living entities. Therefore, I am naturally the well-wisher and supreme controller. Being the creator, maintainer, and guider of all entities, I am not different from them. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami points out that the personality of God maintains an ablative and genitive relationship with his opulences. In other words, the Lord is not different from all living entities because they are coming from him and they belong to him. The Lord gave a similar explanation to Arjuna in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 10:20, beginning with the same words, Aham Atma. Although the Lord describes his external or material opulences, the Lord's position is always transcendental and non-material. Just as a living soul within the body gives life to the body, similarly, the Lord, by his supreme potency, gives life to all universal opulences. I was attending Mahatma Prabhu's self-care seminar part 2 this last weekend, and he said something very simple but very profound. He said that he did a guided meditation using the phrases from Bhagavad Gita describing the soul. And so he put it into I statements. You know how there's affirmations in this world, right? He used the affirmations of us as spirit souls. It was quite amazing. And he said, I am not dependent on my body. My body is dependent on me. And even though it's so simple, it really struck me deeply. Thinking, wow, what a different way of moving through life in this body. That instead of thinking, oh, I'm here because my body is here, I'm kind of stuck in this body, I'm traveling along with it. Instead, thinking, this body is moving because I exist, because I'm here inside of this body. The body's therefore functioning. The only reason we're able to walk down the street is because our spirit soul is present. And if it wasn't, if our spirit soul suddenly leaves, the body just crumbles to the ground. So it's such a simple thing, but I thought that was very striking. And so here, Krishna, in the purport, it's described that the living soul within the body gives life to the body, just like the Lord gives life to all universal opulences. So anything that is of an opulence in this world is coming from Krishna, and it's only existing because of Krishna. It's only there because of Krishna, otherwise it wouldn't exist. And the same with all of us. We exist because of Krishna. And we're parts and parcels of Krishna. It's quite incredible. What a gift to be a part and parcel of Krishna. You know, imagine if we were separate fragments from Krishna. Imagine if we weren't connected to him so intimately. It would be different. But because we're so intimately connected with Krishna, that's why our soul is yearning to go back to that experience of being part of Krishna, to remember that and be close to him. And that's why our deepest satisfaction comes from being connected to Krishna, because we're part of him. And we can't be happy without being part of the whole, just like little pinky that gets chopped off by accident, which happens sometimes, and that's why we have 10, right? People that are working in these dangerous jobs, sometimes they lose it. So if one of them gets cut off and it's like, unfortunately, you can't put it back on, then that pinky is just, it's not really functioning. You can't do anything anymore. But if it's back with the body, like if it gets, sometimes people get a deep cut or something, but then they get it sewed up. So then the finger is part of the body again. Then it goes back on to doing its job and it's happy again in this pinky way. So these are just all of the coming verses. We're gonna go down to go back to the list and we'll just read the translations. And we have microphones, right? So we can pass the microphone around and read the translation. So Krishna is going to describe all these different opulences, how he's manifested in this material world, how we can see him in the material world. Okay, so let's start that.
The ultimate goal.
And then maybe that one we can bring up, or we can start that one later side.
The ultimate goal of all those seeking progress, time among those who exert control, and the equilibrium of the modes and feel nature, natural virtue among the types.
Okay, so if at any point something strikes you, feel free to share, okay? So we're going to read these, and whenever we read a long list of things, it's easy for the mind to just kind of settle into a numbness. So I'll just pause for a moment and see. And the ultimate goal of all those seeking progress. So everyone that's seeking progress in this material world is actually looking for Krishna. What a statement, right? I'm the ultimate goal of everyone who's seeking progress. People seek progress in different ways. But they don't know that the ultimate goal of it is Krishna. And I'm time among those who exert control. So who do you think exerts control? What comes to mind when you do that? I'm time among those who exert control.
Government.
Yeah, government. The Devatas, yes. The demigods who are in control of this world, right? But the government is a really good one too, because I was thinking the time, they exert control of time as well. For example, how long someone's going to stay in jail or whatever. And they kind of determine lengths of time that a war will go on, or that this and that. They have that kind of bigger power events going on for a certain amount of time. Okay. Anything else on that one?
The Illuminati.
Okay. Yeah.
I like the point that time, people think they're in control, but actually time's controlling everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice thing to remember.
Actually, anyone working control, can't have responsibility. Just like parents or teachers or.
So anyone in authority has to have the ability to control. That's part of the job. And it's part of the responsibility. And it also is a position of great responsibility. So with, what is that phrase? With great power comes great responsibility, right?
Snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose. Who here ever snoozes on their alarm clock? Oh, Okay. Let's do text 11. So,
Among things possessing qualities, I am the private manifestation of nature, and among great things, I am the total material creation. Among subtle things, I am the spirit soul. The things that are difficult to conquer, I am the mind.
so for this one, I particularly love this last sentence. Of subtle things, I'm the spirit soul. So subtle, we don't even see it. We get so distracted by the body and the mind. That's who we are, right? So subtle. So what an energy that's so powerful, it's not even visible to the eye. And then the of things that are difficult to conquer on the mind. So that's encouraging, right? Who here has ever struggled with the mind? Raise your hand. Never ever. I want to meet the person who's never ever struggled with the mind. So he's saying of things that are difficult to conquer on the mind. So that's encouraging. Krishna's saying that's part of the nature of the mind. It's difficult to conquer. And so we don't need to be so hard on ourselves when our mind jumps here and there all over the place. Because Krishna's saying that everything that's difficult to conquer, I'm the mind. I'm most difficult to conquer. Right? So we can give ourselves a little break, just be a little kind to ourselves. And the mind's just going to jump around and we can become the observer of that mind. Okay, so text 12.
Among the Vedas, I am their original teacher, Lord Brahma, and all of the mantras, I am three-lettered Omkar. Among letters, I am the first letter, A, and among sacred meters, I am the Gayatri mantra.
So the first letter, is in a lot of the names of the divine. Rama, Krishna, Radha, Hari. It's almost in all of the Shinha. So that's a very sacred letter. We used to sing when I was growing up in Gurukul, we used to sing the Sanskrit chart. You know, like to have, and it goes and it starts with and we sing it like a song. But to remember the alphabet. So it starts with in the alphabet. And then Om, we all know that the power of Om, right? It's become even well known in the regular world. That's from the yoga world, Om chants and stuff. So Krishna is present in the three-letter Omkara. So what are the three letters of the Omkara? Yeah, it's really dot over it, but it's those three together that creates. It's not what we say Om, but it's actually Om. And so it gives us opportunity to really to use every part of the vocal cords and the body. It's quite a meditation. So I was thinking to wake us all up and just a few rounds of Om, and we can feel Krishna's presence in the Om. So just close your eyes for a moment, and then you'll see how you feel after. Okay, so it's 1 minute of Om together. Oh. 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 Okay, what do you notice?
I feel like I see Zach, like,
I swear, and he was so close, and like we hit the same note, and then weird, weird, so nice.
Kind of like a vibration effect. Yeah.
yeah, you get some phone.
You can really feel the vibration, like you're in the facility.
Yeah, it vibrates all the cells of the body, really. Kind of stuff. Powerful. Yeah, it's nice, right? It's very grounding. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, do you want to share that? How do you do that?
Fantastic. One time, Texas, we went to Austin, so I invited sometimes. They got a permission to access the Capitol of Texas, Capitol building. So they called the project On the Dome. And it was a beautiful, Capitol dome. So it was such a powerful experience, like a couple hundred people in a circle because it's a circle form. Just oming for like, I think it was over an hour. And we didn't care that much. The cherry on top and the whole.
I like how you use it as a verb, owning. To own. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I saw a video of that. That's very, very powerful. And I didn't explain here, but what's really powerful is when every person just keeps going at their own pace. I didn't explain that before we did it. So we all did it as a group, which was nice. But if everyone just keeps going, then it's like a constant sound of home, right? And the whole room kind of reverberates with that. And it's really the presence of Krishna through that sound vibration. Very powerful. So what to speak of if we know who's the cause of the three-lettered Omkara, then that much more powerful if it comes to us. Okay, text 13.
Among the demigods, I am Indra, and among the Rashis, I am Agni, god of fire. I am Vishnu among the sons of Aditi, and among the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva.
Okay, let's go to the next text, 14.
Among saintly Brahmanas, I am Bhrigu Muni, and I am Manu among saintly kings. I am Narada Muni among saintly demigods, and I am Kamadhenu among cows.
So there's a song, let's see if anyone knows this answer. There's a song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he describes what Narada Muni sings as he travels around. What does he sing? Yeah, but what does Narada sing? Yeah, Radhika Ramana Name. So he's singing the name of Radhika Ramana. Often in India, if you ask that question, they'll say, Narada Muni says what? Yeah, and then all the films, Narayan. But I like how Bhaktivinoda Thakur says he's actually singing the name of Radhika Ramana. That's the most intimate form of Krishna. So he's beyond just that awe and reverence of Krishna. He's saying the names of Radharani and Krishna. Right? Okay, text number 15.
I am Lord Kapila among protected beings, and Garuda among birds. I am Daksha among the progenitors of mankind. I am Aryama among the forefathers.
Okay, I'd like to pause here. Any thoughts so far on these last three verses?
They're definitely in chapter 10. A lot of these comparisons, Narada Muni, Manu, Lord Kapila, Shiva, Indra are in chapter also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And it's nice that if you think about he's telling two friends, so both on both ends. Oh, you say telling his close friend Arjuna, he's telling his close friend they're saying the same thing. So yeah.
I don't know who Aryama is.
So anyone know who Aryama is? Yeah, maybe somebody can look that up. So we have Yamaraj as an option. Okay, so text 16.
My dear Uddhava, among the demonic sons of Diti, know me to be Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly lord of the Asuras. Among the stars and herbs, I am the lord Chandra, the moon, and among Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the lord of wealth, Kubera.
Okay, what comes to mind for you? What strikes you here?
Most stars and herbs are in the same category.
Yeah, I noticed that
Very
too.
different things.
Yep. So their lord of both of these very different categories is the moon. And we know that the moon, what does the moon do according to Bhagavad Gita for the vegetative crops? What does it do?
It's juice.
Yeah.
It's the juice.
Is the juice of life in those fruits and those vegetables and those herbs, right? Yeah.
So I guess the
Farmers also, and
Yeah.
was planted,
Mhm.
was living in a patchwork farm, regularly planted for, and then also moon phases, depending on the type of crop you're waxing and waning. You want it to come up, you're looking for something like wax, actually has.
Yeah, just like it has, so he was saying that the almanac, who here's seen the almanac, that little magazine? They still print it, actually, paper form. I've seen it, some stores carry it. It's a little tiny paper back type book magazine, and it tells you all the different, how the moon will be, the different moon phases and so on for planting. Yeah, so it's still science all today by farmers, just like it affects the tides of the ocean. That's
seems that way it's related to herbs, based on what you're saying, is that the moon gives the juice of life.
So then the herbs, it's like the juice, it's like the essential medicinal juice, of the herbs is like juice the moon.
Yeah. Have you ever juiced things where you stick the herbs fresh? Usually it's fresh herbs that are juiced, not the dry ones. So you put the fresh ones in, have like a handful of leaves, and it comes out as bright green juice, and it's so powerful. Yeah, so it's extracting the essence of the herbs. Okay, and text 17.
I am Airavata.
I am Airavata among lordly elephants, and among aquatics I am Varuna, the lord of seas. Among all things that heat and illuminate, I am the sun, and among human beings I am the king.
Any thoughts on that one? So the sunshine is something that we, especially when it's been raining for long periods of time. Here we have, it kind of goes back and forth. It's, it's sunny and it rains, it's sunny and it rains in Florida. But in some countries, it's dark and rainy for a lot of the year. And then people start craving the sun, they start missing the sun, and they actually start having mental health challenges because the sun's not showing up, right? Start having more depression and now the willingness to live declines and so on. So we can see how powerful the sun is in this material world. Without the sun, it's just very hard life to live. Yeah. On the other hand, we also see, interestingly, we also see the power of Krishna through the sun, that we have to be careful when in the sun as well, because the sun can burn, right? If you're out there in the sun in the middle of the day in Florida, a lot of us will burn in the sun if we stay out long enough. And so it's necessary, and it's also so powerful, it's more powerful than we could handle, right? It has to be delivered in doses that we can take. If the sun became any closer to this Earth planet, we'd all be gone, we'd be dead, right? If we got sun planet came closer, we'd burn up. So everything's just done in the right way. Okay, text 18.
Among horses, I am Uka Shirva, and I am gold among metals. I am Yamaruni, among who suppress and punish, and among serpents, I am Vasuki.
So Yamaraj, yeah. So I'm Yamaraj among those who suppress and punish. So he's the god of death. That's Yamaraj. And horses, of horses, I'm Ukshay-Shrava. And among metals, I'm gold. Because everyone's looking for gold in this world. They still measure the wealth of things based on how much it's worth in gold, right? Yes,
Who is Ucheshva?
that's one I don't know. Does someone else know that?
I just know that he's the horse that came when the demigods and demons were churning the ocean of milk. That the horse Ucheshva came out of the churning.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to him after that.
Mystical horses out there somewhere.
Past time, yeah.
Yes.
A thought while we're reading these I am statements is also just the statement I am itself has a holy name connotation. That was the name of the God in the Old Testament, the great I am, and that it's still used with power behind it as a holy name for affirmations and speaking things into existence as well.
Right, yeah, and in the Sanskrit, it's also aham has that A letter, the first sound, the aham. So yeah, thank you, Krishna. So we'll do a few more. I'll just read a more here. So text 19. O sinless Uddhava, among the best of snakes, I am Ananta, and among those animals with sharp horns and teeth, I am the lion. This one struck me as interesting because he's saying the horns, lions don't have horns, but there's a group of, I guess if you group animals according to sharp horns and teeth, the lion. So if someone understands that biologically, to hear that. Among the social orders, I am the fourth, or the renounced order of life, and among the occupational divisions, I am the first, the Brahmanas. Among sacred and flowing things, I am the holy Ganges, and among steady bodies of water, I am the ocean. Among weapons, I am the bow, and of the wielders of weapons, I am Lord Shiva. Among residences, I am Mount Sumeru, and of impervious places, I am Himalayas. Among trees, I am the holy fig tree, and among plants, I am those that bear grains. Okay, so we're gonna pause here because there's more, but I want to touch on. I think we'll just end here. You can finish those verses. There's more descriptions. I wanted the last part of the class here just ask you that question again about what are some of the reasons. I have written down some. I have some ideas, but I'd love to hear from you too. What are some of the reasons why Krishna is describing his opulences in this way, both in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? And it can be the most, just you can throw out answers. You can start with some of the obvious ones or less obvious. Yes.
Perhaps just to establish his divinity, Krishna, of course, appears very human-like. So, perhaps start figure or some common personal abilities or whatever. But of course, it's a very existence.
Yeah, the divinity. I like how you use that word. His divinity. So he's not just an ordinary person. That's a really good point. Yes. Give me a microphone.
Could I have ways to how to all this stuff? Or is it?
Yes. So meditations, ways to remember Krishna as we go about our days and our lives here.
Prabhupada says people know God's crazy.
Yeah, in very specific ways. Yeah.
Actually, both of those. Divinity, yes, and great, yes, but also absolute truth, which is really important because in Christianity, there's somehow imagined competitive, or that there is a supreme or a powerful, but there may be other powerful competitors or another source for that God has done this, but something else has done that. So to establish the absolute truth.
Thank you. Yes, and it reminds me of how Krishna says of of those animals, he's the lion. If you think about the lion, the king of the jungle, the ultimate animal that no other animal can kill, right? That's why it's considered the king of the jungle. Of course, humans can go in, but of the mammals around it in the jungle, it's the supreme lion, supreme animal. What else? Yes, Michelle.
I think to humble us, just to put things into perspective, so that we're just a spark of the splendor.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. So, have you ever? Who here's been on an airplane? Has everyone been on an airplane? Also, out here probably. So, when you're up there when you're up in the sky, you look down, you can just see the houses getting smaller and the trees and little tiny cars. You kind of get a sense of how tiny we really are when you look, like looking down. Wow, those tiny humans walking on the sidewalk, you can't even see them very quickly after the airplane goes up. So that humbling kind of perspective. Thank you, that's nice. What else? Yes.
I like it. Well, I like how he follows I am. It seems to be I am everything. We tend to do that ourselves. Like I am a business executive. I am a man. But if you put Krishna in there before it's already belongs to him. So I am human. I am part and parcel of Krishna. So it's not you are. It's I am with Krishna.
Yeah, so connecting ourselves to Krishna as being parts of Krishna. Yeah, that's really nice. Yes.
I think the main thing is just that Krishna's the best, in all categories, he's just the best of everything. So, we're looking for the best, when we go out and buy something, we want the best quality, we want top of the line, latest, model, or whatever, we want the best thing. So, we're really looking for the best thing. Well, it's Krishna. He's saying in every category, I'm the best thing. So if you take all the sum total of all categories and put them together, best person, best entity, best thing is Krishna.
Yeah.
So that's really what we want. We want the best thing. We want Krishna.
Yeah, that's nice. If we go to different countries, we'll have, you can ask people like, what's the best dessert here, or what's the best park here, or whatever, and there'll be a consensus among groups of people of the top thing within that category, right? And so if we encounter, even in our daily life, encounter something that, wow, this is the best holiday I've ever had, then we can think of Krishna. Oh, yeah, Krishna's the best of the best, right? So it's just another way to remember, to meditate on Krishna. There's another hand up.
I was just meditating in the very beginning, just imagining what if Krishna was sitting right here and he was making that claim, how special that would be in terms of my relationship that I have with such a person. Just imagining that just brought a more appreciation for what I've received so far. This is the person. This is the person that makes this claim that I'm dealing with every day, but that I fail.
Yeah, very personal, right? It's like personalizing Krishna. Thanks for sharing that. I had that. I had that as one of the things I also connects to something I had brought up too, that Krishna has his favorites. Kind of like what you're saying, he's the best of this kind of. He also has his favorites because he's a person. So it's a very personal thing. So if you picture Krishna sitting there, he's suddenly sitting with all of us saying, oh, this and that, and we want to be listening, I want to hear which category he is, and it'll just be very, very personal. Amazingly, we didn't get to this verse, but he says later on that, oh yeah, among devotees I am saved. I heard it. What he said, yeah, Uddhava. He says, indeed, you, Uddhava, represent me among the devotees. Can you imagine how much more personal that got than that moment? So he's saying, he's talking to Uddhava, he's sitting there with him, he goes, and actually, of all the devotees, you're the greatest. How sweet and how moving that must be for Uddhava, right? Of course, devotees never feel proud, but he must have felt like, wow, there's something special at Krishna's mention my name along this list of things that Krishna values. So this is how special that must feel. And like Krishna said, humble. Okay, any other thoughts about why Krishna describes lists like this? We covered a lot of good options, good ideas here. Okay, I'll share also things I had already mentioned. So one thought was that it gives us opportunities to be grateful. So practice gratitude. So if Krishna is giving us specifics, then when we encounter those specifics, some of these things we'll never see. Right? We probably will never, most of us won't reach the Himalayan mountains and see that Mount Meru like that. But of other things that we see in our lives, like the ocean and so on, we can feel grateful to Krishna. Oh, he's basically created a world where we can remember him through this material world. So special. He didn't just create a world where we can completely forget. He actually created a neutral place where we can either remember or forget, depending how we apply our consciousness. So if we want to forget him here, we can forget him like anything. If we want to remember him, we can remember him. So this world can either direct us toward Krishna or detract us from Krishna. Right? Direct or detract. So if we have the same item, or the same place, an ocean, think about all the ways that people get distracted from God realization with the ocean, right? They go and play in the ocean, and there's a lot of bodily consciousness around the ocean and the beaches and the enjoyment, and all the hot spots that we travel to are beach related, right? And people come to Florida for the beaches and so on, right? It's very much that mood of sense enjoyment. It can be the place that pulls us the most away from Krishna. And on the other hand, the ocean can be a place of great, deep meditation, revelation. Like, wow, it can give us insight into so many lessons, even just from a material perspective. We go there and meditate on the morals of the ocean, the waves coming in and out, and how that reminds us of passage of time. And then going up to the level of a devotee, and we see the ocean, remembering the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, or doing Harinam along the ocean, like they do in many places, and I know in Poland. I wanted to share one little story. I might have shared this here before, but one time on a Harinam in Poland, there was a seal that was traveling along with the Harinam in the water, and it was actually in Indra Maharaj had written about it in one of his diaries, and then the following summer the same seal came back, and so I was there that summer, and so I got to see it, and it was following the Harinam along, and sometimes there's these piers that go out into the water. So I have to go all the way around, come back, and catch up with the devotees and kind of go along with the party, the Harinam party. So it was very attracted to the chanting of the Harinams. And then, of course, a lot of people started noticing it and kind of the cameras, and then they got distracted from the holy name. But the seal was very eager so anyway, the ocean that's just an example of how the very same thing can either detract us from Krishna or bring us to Krishna. So Krishna created a world where we can find him in everything if we want to. And another thing is that he reminds us through these descriptions that he's closer than we might realize. We sometimes might think, oh, Krishna's far away. He's only in his planet up, who knows how far away, way past the space that we know, the universes we know. And it can feel far and distant, but Krishna is reminding us, no, I'm right. You can meditate on these. You can see me, you can glorify me through these items in the material world right now where you're living, on the earth planet, and I'll be there with you. And he's right here with us right now today. And Of course, we know that he's with us as a spirit, as a super soul in our heart. He said that in the very first verse, remember? He said, I'm the super soul that rises with the soul. So he is very, very close, and in that way, he reminds us that it's a personal God. He's not an impersonal God, he's there with us. Okay, so, and then the last thing that I thought of was another reason he gives these descriptions is to bring joy to the hearts of his devotees. Just brings joy and sometimes laughter, and he's just had a, you can see Krishna's sense of personhood and his humor, and he's just a very wonderful, supreme person. So, any other last thoughts or questions? Yes.
Found out Ariyama,
Oh, yeah.
which is it's actually a son of Joseph. He's one of the sons of Aditi and Kashyapa Muni, actually, demigod. And he's in charge of, they're kind of similar to Ramaraj.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Talking about the sun, and maybe also mentioning key. And one day I listened to lecture Prabhupada, and I never heard speak about this kind of analogy before, but he was describing how, we call this Krishna consciousness, and he was describing the sunshine and the sun are connected. So just like our consciousness is connected to Krishna, it's not just consciousness. Then just like consciousness on its own, there's really no value. And he made this point of how the sunshine really has no value without being connected to the sun. And so it kind of just struck me that we don't really have any value without connected to Krishna. It's just consciousness on its own. What is that? We're connected to Krishna, then we actually have value.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. It's like the rays of sun. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
I was just reading forward a little bit. I don't know what was the last verse of your section, but text 40, it says, whatever power, it's like whatever power, beauty, fame, opulence, humility, renunciation, mental pleasure, fortune, strength, tolerance, or spiritual knowledge there may be is simply an expansion of my opulence. So I was thinking the list that we were going through were like specific examples of best thing that those are Krishna. But like anything that's beautiful, anything that's powerful, anything that's pleasurable, etc., is also Krishna. So even if it really says that of animals I am the lion, but even if you see like a little kitten who's like cute, that beauty is Krishna. Or he says of men I'm the king, but if there's a man who's strong in any way, it's like that strength is Krishna. So yeah, it's just he's giving like specific things to accentuate the epitome of his opulence, but really anything that's nice in any way it's a reflection of Krishna's opulence.
Yeah, thank you. That makes it a wider, more relevant for us because we're not going to encounter a lot of these things, so we can apply it with that verse. Yes.
Along those lines, I was thinking that even things that are annoying or not as appealing, we can also remember. And when he says, I'm the sound of ether, there might be some noises that chalk on the board, but we can make, that also is Krishna. Any sound, baby crying that is driving me crazy, instead of getting that type of shade, we can take a pause and not necessarily appreciate it, just remember that also is Krishna.
Yeah, I think it'll help with the irritation. I just want to end on one more comment here. So on Saturday, last Saturday, Kandidi gave a seminar for Bhakti Institute called the Atma Paradigm. And he mentioned there something really fascinating, that the consciousness of the aggregate consciousness of all living entities in this material world is what makes this material world the way it is. So what we come in with our desires and our mentality is what the world ends up being. So as individuals, souls, as we improve our consciousness, we actually increase the consciousness of this material world. So that was a really powerful thing, and it makes it important, in addition to our own spiritual lives, it makes it important to improve our consciousness for the sake of others and for the sake of this entire planet. So as we uplift our consciousness, actually impacts those around us and the whole consciousness of the planet. So I wanted to share that because I found that very important. So we can meditate on Krishna and improve our consciousness by doing so. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Krishna ki jai. Of all breakfasts, I am.
Not as breakfast.
Sharira.
Shabbat